everyone. My name is Victoria, and this is the Positive Movement. If you are joining us for the first time, follow us on all our social media handles at PME underscore music one. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Snapchat, even Tumblr. We are everywhere. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notification button as you subscribe in order to get amazing content as we upload them. And also go through our previous videos, drop your comment. I'm sure there are videos that are waiting for you, just for you. They are made for you. Just go through them, listen to them, watch them, and drop your comment. So very quickly, I want to share something with you that caught my attention. I was going through my Facebook feed. I saw this video about a particular set of people in Brazil practicing the Yoruba culture, doing things the Yoruba way, worshipping the Yoruba orishas and all of those things. And it really caught my attention. I decided to read up about it. And I discovered that there is a set of people in Brazil that speaks Yoruba, like they speak Yoruba. Fine, it might not be as fluently as we speak it in Nigeria, in West Africa, but at least for someone who did not grow up in Yoruba land to speak Yoruba language, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Yes, you can say English is also not our mother tongue and we speak it fluently. Yes, that is because we are learning it in school and we are being forced to speak it because why? It is our lingua franca. So whether we like it or not, we have to speak English. But over there, it is not like that. They made a conscious effort to learn this language and they are speaking it and they're trying at it. They did not just stop at speaking the language, they're also following the Yoruba traditions that most of us in Africa, most of us in Yoruba land, living in Yoruba land, are forsaken. I was wondering how these people started speaking Yoruba and what inspired that and all of that. Then I was able to trace it back to the days of the Atlantic slave trade, where lots of Africans, a lot of West Africans, no, let me just say a lot of Africans because it actually involved African at large, were transported to different parts of the world as slaves. So some of them were taken to Cuba, taken to Brazil, and a lot of them were actually taken from the Yoruba land. So when they got there, they did not forsake their traditions that they came with. They did not forsake everything they were doing. Did not forsake the language and all of that. So when they came in, they continued speaking the language. They brought in their culture. They brought in their traditions and all of that. And so when the slave trade came to an end, there was no way they could return to their fatherland. How would they even return? It's not now that there's social media you can trace. There was no way. They don't even know how they got to where they got to. Where did they even want to start the journey from? So they actually established and they continued their culture, they continued the traditions, and over the years, they have been able to pass these traditions down to their children. So we can link that with the Atlantic slave trade and the descendants of those slaves who did not forsake the cultures and tradition. Okay, fine, that is explainable. Now, let's talk about the ones who are actually white. They are not the blacks, they are not the descendants. They are white and they are speaking this language and following this culture and tradition and all of that. That is because they got interested in the language, got interested in the culture and traditions along the way. It is explainable that okay, the descendants of the slaves that came from Africa formed their own all of those things. But now we are also talking about people who were not descendants of Africans but living in South America, living in Brazil and all of that, and yet they have imbibed this Yoruba culture. Some of them cannot speak this language, but they are following the traditions, the culture, they are worshipping Oshun, worshipping Ifa, and all of that. There was a video about the Oni of Ife. That was 2 years ago. The video was circulated 2 years ago. It visited Brazil as they were celebrating some festivals. They celebrated Oshun festival and all of that. And everything that, even though there was somebody who was interpreting to people in their own Brazilian language, it's really something what how would I put it? It's something very interesting to watch for a Yoruba culture, a Yoruba tradition to be practiced outside of the Yoruba region, outside of Africa. It is very, very interesting because we as Africans tend a lot to imbibe the cultures of the Westerners. In fact, almost everything we do is revolving around the Westerners. We eat their kind of food, we wear their kind of clothes, obviously. We wear their kind of clothes, we dress like them, we make their kind of hair, we do everything like them because we just want to be accepted by them. But these are people who are not Africans. You need to see the videos that I'm talking about. They were actually wearing Yoruba traditional attires. The ladies were actually wearing our Iro and Buba, and the men were putting on, like, it was just more like a Yoruba setting, but it was not in a Yoruba region. Like, it's really very interesting. So I was having a discussion with somebody about this, and the person was making me to understand that there is a town in America called Oyotunji village. Like, it's strictly a Yoruba town. Now, I am very interested in this because back home, a lot of us are not interested in anything that has to do with our traditions or our cultures, to the extent that even some schools, some secondary schools, some primary schools don't offer Yoruba as a language, don't offer Yoruba as a subject in their schools. Like, it's really very, very, it's really pathetic that we're in Yoruba land. We're not even in America. We're not in Brazil. We're not in Switzerland. We're in Nigeria. We're in Yoruba land. And the school curriculum did not make a provision for Yoruba language as a subject. Yeah, no, I'm not saying every school. There are a lot of schools that offers Yoruba as a subject. I went to a primary school, a secondary school that offers Yoruba as a subject, and I know every public school in Nigeria offers at least one Nigerian language as a subject. There are some that even offers more than one. There are some that are like offering like two or three Yoruba languages. Yeah, I'm not disputing that. Some private schools that do not offer Yoruba language as a subject, and sometimes they even make it optional. Like, it's optional. You can choose to, you can choose not to. Like, I believe at least one Nigerian language is supposed to be compulsory for every student in Nigeria. It's supposed to be compulsory. Now we have foreigners who are actually imbibing our culture, our traditions, our languages. I saw a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of Americans on YouTube that are learning the Yoruba language, like, with so much zeal and so much passion. There's a particular one name, she calls herself Titilayo. She's an American citizen. And somebody was asking her in one of those videos, I was like, okay, what is your American name? And she was like, she has stopped using her American name, that her name is Titilayo, and that's what she wants to be addressed by. And I'm like, wow. But in Nigeria, use me for I'll use myself as an example. When I introduced myself, I said my name is Victoria. Victoria is not an African name. It's not a Yoruba name. I am a Yoruba lady. But it's just the way it is. Like, oh, in fact, some of us would rather be addressed by our English name than our Yoruba name. Anyway, my Yoruba name is Oluwakemi. It's a very beautiful name. I wonder why I don't use it. Anyway, I was like, so an American woman could actually throw away her American name and decide to be using her Yoruba name, Titilayo, a name that she gave herself, not that her parents gave her. And funny enough, she actually studied journalism and Yoruba language at the University of Ibadan. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And this is us in Nigeria. This is us in Africa. This is us in a Yoruba region. And we have schools that do not even offer Yoruba, and there are schools who offers Yoruba as an optional subject. It's not supposed to be like that. Like, in Nigeria, offer at least one Nigerian language. It is supposed to be compulsory, the same way English and maths is compulsory. Yes, we know it is important to speak English because it's a lingua franca, and for a country like Nigeria where we have several languages and several cultures, several tribes, it is important that we have at least one unified language. So it is really very understandable, we know why we should be able to speak in English, but that is not us throwing away our culture, throwing away our traditions. And I am very particular about the language. I'm not even going deep into the spiritual aspect of it or the traditional aspect of it or talking about the Ogun and Oshun. I'm not even going there now. I am talking about the language itself, because I have come across a lot of people who were born and brought up in Nigeria. They have actually never been outside of Nigeria before. They've never even been to Togo. They've never been to Cotonou, that is even close. They're even sharing border. They've never even gone to Cameroon or Ghana. Yet they cannot speak their native language. They speak only English, and some people even speak French, English and French. And they cannot even speak in any native language. Why? Because their parents did not bring them up to speak in their native language. Now, parents brought them up right from childhood to be able to speak English, and their schools did not help as well. They went to schools where they are being taught in English, and Yoruba is not even allowed. For instance, when I was in primary school, there was a law that no vernacular speaking. If you speak in your native language, you're gonna pay a fine. Yes, I understand why in a school setting you have to express yourself in English. Well, because it's probably a formal gathering, but there is nothing that is stopping us from really encouraging our native language as well. Like, nothing should stop us from doing that. Now these people, these foreigners are coming to learn our language, and we don't even care about it. Sometimes I wonder if in the next 10 or 20 years we'll still have people who can communicate in their native language fluently. In fact, I fear for this next generation. There are a lot of people who have never been outside of Nigeria, yet they cannot even speak any other language apart from English. It is understandable if you are born and brought up outside of Nigeria. Well, okay, maybe you don't have the opportunity, maybe the people you're related with speak strictly in English and all of that, so we can excuse you. But for someone who actually grew up in Nigeria, born and brought up in Nigeria, and yet you can just communicate in your native language, like, I think it's really an insult on you, and even on your parents, and even on your school. Like, there is really no reason why Yoruba language should not be a compulsory subject in Yoruba regions, and in other regions the native language there is supposed to also be a compulsory subject. And now this brings me back to uh, still talking about the slave trade era and the colonial era, and the colonial era as well. You know, people visit America, they visit London, they visit England, they visit the UK and all of a lot of places, and they see artifacts from Africa. They see a lot of sculptures from Africa that have been stolen by these people. That is to say, they actually appreciate these things. That was why they stole it, and they are using it to decorate their own museum. Now I wonder that if these things were actually in Nigeria, if they were not stolen, if these artifacts were not stolen, now I'm beginning to wonder, are we even gonna take care of them? And let me bust your bubble. Some of these stores were not stolen, they were sold. Yes, some of them were sold by our greedy leaders then, others, because they were actually the one that were trading with these colonial masters, trading with the slave drivers to selling out their own kinsmen as slaves. Yes, so it is, I don't know, Africa. We're in God's hands in Africa. Right from time we have always been like this. So a lot of things that are happening today, they are not strange, because it's just the way it is. Now, if these things are still in Africa, I wonder if we really appreciate them. I wonder. So I'm trying to say that these foreigners, these English people, these Americans, they appreciate these things more than us. They appreciate our language more than us. They appreciate a lot. I have seen and I have heard about a lot of people from America, who are learning the Yoruba language with zeal. Like, Yoruba language is not, I'm focusing on Yoruba language. Yeah. I'm not trying to put down any other language in Nigeria. It's just what it is. I'm focusing on it because these guys, they come down to Nigeria to learn Nigerian language. They come down to, a lot of them, you hear that they are studying African studies. Why are they doing that? Yoruba language is not a word language like English. It's not like French. At least after English, you can say okay French too. Then you talk about German and all of that. But you know, these people, they know the value of our native language. They know the value of African languages. But we are at home. We are not outside or we are at home. We don't care. Whatever happens, happens. I know a lot of people cannot speak in their native language. I have met some. I have met some. There are people that you can actually sell them. You will sell them, you will collect change, and they will not know that you are selling them because they don't understand. They can only speak in English. They can only express themselves in English. And no, it's not supposed to be like that. So I encourage everybody, teach your children your native language. And even schools, please, I really wish the government can make it compulsory for every school. I know it's compulsory well, I don't know if it's still compulsory, but I know that they offer at least one native language in public schools. But I don't know if it's compulsory or it's not compulsory. But when I was in secondary school, it was compulsory. So I don't know about now. I went to a public school, so I don't know about now. But what I'm saying is the government should make it compulsory for every school, whether public or private, to offer at least one Nigerian language. They should offer at least one Nigerian language. We know that English is an ego fracas. It is important. They've already made it compulsory. We cannot even argue with it. So if you don't pass English and maths, you are going nowhere. Yes, they have made it compulsory already.